What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I want to deep dive a little bit into this DL Hughley take on Dana White as far as New Year's Eve. For those of you that are not familiar, Dana White got into a little bit of a scuffle with his wife in the club on New Year's Eve, and it was captured on camera, right? So, I don't really care about that too much. I actually already broke it down and reviewed it. And the reason why it was interesting to me is because the media was painting it in a way in which Dana White was absolutely egregious, and then he went and he apologized and he said putting your hand on your wife is completely unacceptable. I'll never be able to live it down, so on and so forth, right? And I went and looked at the video and I checked it out live on the Millionaire Morning Show on this channel specifically. And what I seen was a woman that cocked back and slapped him and put her hands on him first. It was almost as though it was premeditated. Now, I'm not going to play it again here because I know that YouTube is sensitive about playing and displaying that kind of content on the platform or whatever, right? For some reason, they go on extra censorship. I don't know if it's a lot of money or incentivized to do so, but you catch my drift. You can go and look at the video. You can find it anywhere, so on and so forth, right? But as I observe, and I'm so used to seeing women highlight how men are wrong despite their behavior. There's no looking in the mirror. There's no accountability. There's no, I should have never put my hands on them in the first place. There's no, oh, wait a minute, I advocated for equal, but I didn't really want to be equal when I had already put my hands on them. Because men understand that there's a threat that comes along with, and there's a decision to make. If you're going to do something and you're going to initiate some kind of confrontation, then you got to be prepared to take the consequences that go along with it. And we've largely not allowed women to be able to bear the brunt of their decisions. So what I seen in the video specifically was a woman that cocked back and slapped Dana White, and then he responded accordingly. However, when you hear women say it, I expect it because we're used to it. And of course, they're going to advocate for all of the benefits and then advocate against being responsible for their actions. But when I see people like DL Hughley, and I'm going to tell you exactly why this is so wrong, when I was viewing what it was that people were sending me as far as his response to what was happening with Dana White, why it was so bothersome. So, right, I pulled him up on Instagram, and he specifically says if hashtag Chris Brown, hashtag Bobby Brown, or hashtag Antonio Brown, I guess this was supposed to be a play on the Brown joke thing, didn't hit, did what Dana White, I guess he's playing off his last name also, did, the media wouldn't stop talking about it. What can Brown do for you? Be white, hashtag Team DL. And then he goes on to say in a caption that apparently not a D thing. If that had been a brother, it'd be nonstop coverage. Dredging up a playground fight from the third grade, scouring old tweets. You name it, hashtag Dana White's entire life is immersed in brutal physical violence. He's amassed a fortune from it. Where are the salacious headlines? Where's the pressure? Oh, he apologized? Hashtag white privilege, pun intended. Scores a first round knockout yet again. So, and then you got Jamie Foxx. Oh, this is so trash. You got Jamie Foxx. Let me go ahead and screenshot this. Jamie Foxx saying preach. I'm not even going to look at the rest of the comments because it's all the black and black and so on and so forth. And I'm going to tell you what's wrong with this conversation, right? When you use the black card, and you know that I'm an advocate for building wealth in the community, but it first comes from taking responsibility for who it is that you are, so on and so forth. When you use the black card when it's not relevant to a specific situation, it actually sets you back. It sets back whatever it was that you were advocating for black people. And it also sets back men in general because it absolves women from taking responsibility for them putting their hands on them in the first place. Nobody wants to first look at the entirety of the picture and say, was he right or was he wrong? Because that's really the real issue here. Was he right or was he wrong? They're not debating that. Everything goes into black, which actually sets men back more than if we would have addressed the issue based off of the fact that it was a woman putting her hands on a man first and then the man responded. And so this is what I mean when I say that these guys from yesteryear, these older gentlemen that came before us, were simps, and they ruined our families, they ruined our households, they ruined everything that we stood for as men, and then they're advocating on behalf of women instead of holding the woman accountable. They decide to use the black card in order to make it a black issue. This isn't even a black issue. This is an issue of men putting their hands on women or women putting their hands on men. And then how are we being accountable for it, considering the culture in which we live in, a cancel culture in which he's advocating for cancel culture, which I think that's toxic in itself. A cancel culture in which he just got done fighting with a woman, specifically a woman that was accusing him of something and holding her back. And then we had his back as men, not as black men. Men had his back because he was going back and forth with Monique and she was throwing all kind of low blows. And this is why it's easy for me to be able to have this conversation, because I'm objective enough to actually look at the facts instead of looking at what it is that you're trying to paint from a media perspective, a black perspective, and then you got all of these cornball celebrities just jumping in. And this is why it's always probably going to be difficult for me to get certain people up on the platform. And I'm not tripping off that. I'm cool. It's going to be difficult for me to be able to get certain people up on the platform because I got an opinion, and I'm not going to just bite my tongue for the sake of having conversations with people that I don't even care about. The reality is that this was a men-women issue. This was not a black issue. This was not a race issue. And the fact that he apologized, I thought was egregious in the first place, because I don't believe that he truly did anything wrong, outside of the fact that he was responding to physical violence that was placed against him. This is why women feel comfortable putting their hands on men. This is why you have a culture in which it's so easy to cancel somebody based off of how you feel, and it's a mob rule. This is why you have women advocating for equal on one side and then advocating against you when it doesn't suit their needs. It's horrible. It's egregious. And this is why you don't necessarily lean to celebrities that may be or may not be as good as we say that they were when it comes to comedy to speak for you as far as human rights. I think that it's bad. I think it's horrible. I think it sets a bad precedent. And then he continues to set men. Because let's be clear, the problems that men are having is a Western culture, which is then affecting the rest of the world. You're setting men back instead of advocating for equal when it comes to race or culture. Because this is not systematic. This is an issue that is affecting you too. You too. Remember Monique? Remember when that was happening? Remember when she was ready to cut your balls off and everybody was holding her accountable and all of the men rallied to your aid? All kind of men of all colors and creeds and all of that other type of stuff. Yeah, keep that same energy. And I honestly, I just don't like this dude, even though I'm objective enough to be able to look at the things that he's talking about. I don't like this dude. I didn't like it when he had something to say about Kevin Samuels. I don't like what it is that he's doing now. I think that he's corny. And I truly don't believe, the biggest dude that advocates supposedly for black is always only appearing on Vlad TV, which I don't necessarily have anything against Vlad TV at all. I think that Vlad is phenomenal at what he does. But how come it's always the blackest of us that only appear on the platforms that he's supposedly advocating against? Hypocrite much? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. I just dropped a video this morning on the Patreon that breaks down my reverse snowball strategy in real estate that allows for you to be able to generate wealth and then actually tap in with the Alpha Juice Company. That link is in the description with all of the discount codes for you to be able to do your cleanse and then go on this journey with me. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.